Have you ever wondered how a small island nation in the North Atlantic came to rule over a quarter of the world as population? It's a story of ambition, innovation, and immense power. At its peak, the British Empire was the largest empire in history, so vast that it was famously said, "The sun never sets on it." From the frozen lands of Canada to the sunny beaches of Australia, from the bustling markets of India to the vast plains of Africa, British influence stretched across every continent. So, how did it all begin? How did this tiny island build an empire that shaped the modern world? Let's dive in and find out. Our story starts not with grand imperial ambitions, but with a mix of trade, competition, and a bit of luck. In the late 16th and early 17th centuries, England was looking to catch up with its European rivals, Spain and Portugal, who were already carving up the New World. The first steps were shaky. Early attempts to establish colonies in North America, like Roanoke, famously failed. But they didn't give up. In 1607, Jamestown was founded in what is now Virginia. It wasn't about building an empire just yet. It was about finding wealth, gold, timber, and new trade routes. Simultaneously, on the other side of the world, another crucial piece of the puzzle was falling into place. The English East India Company was founded in 1600. It was a private company of investors, granted a monopoly on trade with the East. Their goal was simple: get in on the lucrative spice trade, which was dominated by the Dutch. They set up trading posts, called factories, in places like Surat, India. These weren't colonies. They were commercial outposts. But these small footholds would eventually grow into something much, much bigger. Back in the Americas, things were expanding. More colonies were established along the East Coast, not just for profit, but also for religious freedom. Groups like the Pilgrims, seeking to escape persecution in England, founded colonies like Plymouth. The Caribbean also became a major focus. Islands like Barbados and Jamaica were turned into hugely profitable sugar plantations. This sugar boom, however, had a dark and brutal side. It was built on the backs of millions of enslaved Africans, forcibly transported across the Atlantic in the horrific system known as the transatlantic slave trade. This brutal exploitation created immense wealth that fueled Britain's industrial and imperial growth. The 18th century was a period of intense rivalry, particularly with France. Britain and France fought a series of global wars, from North America to India. The most significant of these was the 7 Years' War. Britain's victory in 1763 was a turning point. They kicked France out of Canada and became the dominant power in India. It was at this moment that the idea of a true British Empire started to take shape. They weren't just a collection of trading posts and settlements anymore. They were a global military and political force. But just as the first British Empire reached its peak, it suffered a massive blow. The American colonies, frustrated with taxation without representation, declared independence. The American Revolutionary War ended with a British defeat and the loss of its most populous and valuable colonies. For many, it seemed like the end of the empire, but Britain was nothing if not resilient. Losing America forced a major shift in focus. This is often called the swing to the east. Attention turned squarely to India. The East India Company, which had started as a simple trading firm, was now acting more like a government. Through a combination of diplomacy, military conquest, and exploiting local rivalries, it expanded its control over vast swathes of the Indian subcontinent. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 is often seen as the key moment that secured the company's dominance. For the next century, India became the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, a massive source of raw materials, soldiers, and a huge market for British goods. Then came the 19th century, the imperial century. Fueled by the Industrial Revolution, Britain had a massive technological and economic advantage. Steamships, the telegraph, and advanced weaponry like the Maxim gun made conquest and control easier than ever before. This was the era of new imperialism. Britain expanded its influence across the globe. Captain James Cook's voyages had already mapped out Australia and New Zealand, which became settler colonies. In Asia, Britain took control of Singapore, Malaya, and Burma, and fought the Opium Wars to force China to open its ports to trade. A most dramatic expansion happened in Africa. In the late 19th century, the European powers engaged in the scramble for Africa, carving up the continent among themselves. Britain secured a huge swath of territory, from Egypt in the north, down through Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya, all the way to South Africa in the south. The dream for some imperialists, like Cecil Rhodes, was to build a railway line from Cape to Cairo, connecting all of Britain's African possessions. So, just how big was the British Empire at its height, around the early 1920s? It's almost hard to comprehend. It covered approximately 13.7 million square miles, which is nearly a quarter of the Earth's total land area. To put that in perspective, that's an area larger than the entire continent of Africa, or larger than Russia and the United States combined. The population was over 450 million people, about 1/4 of the world's population at the time. The sun truly never set on it, because as the sun was going down on one part of the empire, like in the Caribbean, it was rising on another, like in India or Australia. Ruling such a vast and diverse empire was a complex task. The British used a variety of methods. In some places, like Canada and Australia, where there were large populations of European settlers, they established self-governing dominions that were still loyal to the crown. In other places, like India and many parts of Africa, they used a system of indirect rule, governing through local rulers and chiefs who were allied with the British. This required a relatively small number of British administrators to control huge populations. But empires don't last forever. The 20th century brought 2 world wars. Britain and its empire were victorious, but the wars came at a staggering economic and human cost. The conflicts drained Britain's resources and weakened its grip on its colonies. At the same time, nationalist movements demanding independence were growing stronger across the empire, inspired by ideals of self-determination. Leaders like Mahatma Gandhi in India pioneered powerful nonviolent resistance campaigns that the British found increasingly difficult to counter. The process of decolonization began in earnest after World War II. The independence of India and Pakistan, 1947, was a monumental event that signaled the beginning of the end. Over the next few decades, a wave of independence swept across the empire. Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African colony to gain independence in 1957, sparking a chain reaction across the continent. Most of the empire was dismantled peacefully, though some transitions were marked by conflict and instability. The final major act was the handover of Hong Kong to China in 1997, which for many symbolized the official end of the British Empire. Today, the legacy of the British Empire is complex and often controversial. It left behind systems of law, government, and education, and spread the English language across the globe. It created infrastructure like railways and ports, but it also left behind deep scars of exploitation, violence, and inequality. The borders drawn by imperial mapmakers often ignored ethnic and cultural realities, leading to conflicts that persist to this day. Understanding the British Empire isn't about glorifying it or simply condemning it. It's about recognizing the profound and lasting impact it had, for better and for worse, in shaping the world we all live in today. From a few daring sailors seeking fortune to a global superpower, the story of the British Empire is one of the most dramatic in human history. It shows how technology, trade, and ambition can build something unimaginably vast, but also how the desire for freedom and self-rule can eventually bring it to an end. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories about how our world came to be.